Alright, everybody, welcome back. I was debating on whether or not I wanted to put these on my channel, but I think it'd be really cool anyways. These three knives were given to me back in the early days when I first started collecting knives. At the time, I had less than 6 or 7 knives, and this was a part of that collection. I didn't really keep it as part of the collection, but more of just as to the side of my actual collection. So I didn't really have, these were knives I never carried. They were just knives that I had. And a long time ago, before I actually had a real job, well, I should say no, I had my first job and then I got laid off from that job. But then my second kind of side job, I want to say, back when I was, younger, I was in my early teens. Um, yeah, I think it was 17, 18. I think. No, never mind. I was a little bit older. I was probably in my early 20s, very early 20s. Scratch that. Now that I think about it, I used to work at a Renaissance fair. And during that time, I also used to work at a sword shop, or knife shop, I should say, at my local mall. Of course, I wasn't making too much money. I just enjoyed doing just that. So let's go ahead and let's talk blades, everybody. That's what we're into. Today, I have for you something that a friend found. He knew that I was collecting knives at the time, and we both worked Renaissance Fair together. And we would, do our thing. We'd kind of dress up as whatever guild we were in. I was in the guild of the Saint Marie, so yeah, I was wearing a bit of armor and tights, boots, and yeah, I even had a rapier on my side at one point. I was considered royalty till I was assassinated. I was Prince Duke de Alençon, something like that. I can't remember. It's been such a long time ago. Got a few pictures of it, and I don't really remember too much. All I remember are the best of times when I did work at Renaissance Fair. We would camp on the campgrounds, and we would drink homemade alcohol that people have made, especially from the Pirates Guild. They ended up making this drink called Bones to Jelly, and I remember it. It made me sleep pretty damn well. It was a concoction of just very fruity it was really good. It tasted really, really good. They would not let me have any more than 2 shots. I remember I almost fell into the fire pit at one point, and if it wasn't for a very large-chested lady came and made sure that I did not fall into the fire. They were like, "Are you able to get up?" And I stood up, and I literally felt like I was about to fall backwards off of 2 shots. It was really, and that's unusual. I normally would take a little bit more than that. It would take way more than that for me to feel anywhere close to that. But I can say I slept really well that night. It was a very, very interesting drink, and a lot of people were drinking it at the little get together. After that night, I wanted to just kind of camp in my own area with my own guild. But anyways, it was around that time. It was good times, good memories. Working at Renaissance Fair, you will come across very interesting people. And amongst these interesting people, you will come across people that actually know how to, like, old time, they know how to do, like, the old riveting. They know how to do, they just know how to do a whole bunch of stuff that kind of seems like a dead practice. It's just stuff that you would never even think about that would even be, it's just museum things. Kind of, it's really hard for me to explain, but there's a lot of wisdom that a lot of these people have, and it's kind of like literally stepping into a time machine. And these people really know a lot about their history and a lot about the history of Renaissance Fair and what was going on around that time frame. And the thing was, anytime that we would open up the gates to Renaissance Fair, we would fire off a cannon, and the cannon would go off. You would hear the cannon blast, and that was basically our clock in. We would know that that's our time to be in character and to be of the time frame. And I remember when the cannon went off, we were instantly in character. We had to stay in character until we were off stage or away from people. And then we would just be, whatever. So, anyways, I'm trying to speed up the story here. It was whenever we went out, it would only be for however long the Renaissance Fair would be. And we would do our thing, and we would earn our money and whatever. And we would kind of do it as kind of a half hobby, half paycheck type thing. And we would help set up, and we would help break down the entire campsite. And that is everything and everyone. And we would all pitch in, because the Renaissance Fairgrounds were literally in like this area part of, it'd be next to this kind of like a river lake type place, out into, it's just away from civilization. So it's going to be in a little bit like a wilderness kind of setting, very, very slight kind of wildernessy kind of setting, which is nice. It was really nice. You got the trees, you got the grass, you got the uneven dirt ground that you're walking on that's going to destroy your feet, and you're going to be hurting all day. But we would help set up the entire perimeter, the gate, the fencing. We would make sure that we would put up everything, help people bring up their tents and all of their sales corners and all that. We would always do that and help each other. We would always help each other with food and everything else. And we would get paid, the same way. It'd be really nice. So, okay, I should say probably more than just one day. It was 1 week. We came across a group of people that were new to the fairgrounds, and they were known to be, how else could I say this? I could say pagans? No, they were witches. They practiced magic. They were Wicca, I think is the term. I don't know too much about it. I know I dated a girl who was practically into witchcraft. This was so many years ago. She was by far one of the coolest, level-headed people that I've ever had the pleasure to be with and to befriend. She taught me a lot about just stuff that she knew. She never taught me anything about, how to cast spells or any weird stuff like that. It was just giving me the background of what she does, why she does it, and why she believes in it. And I respect everybody has a different belief. If you're religious, you're religious. You're spiritual, you're spiritual. If you're Buddhist, you're Buddhist. I don't care what you are. I respect you for who you are and what you believe in. I'm not going to try and pressure you into religion. I'm not going to try and push the Bible on you. I'm not like that. I respect you for who you are. We are all different people. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to do that. That's just, I don't think that that's right. If you care about somebody, that's one thing. It's another thing to try and force someone else's belief on someone else. It just doesn't, try to force your belief on someone else. I don't think that that's right. I think that that's, anyways, that's a whole other discussion for another day. Anyways, she practiced Wicca. She was basically she called herself a white witch, I guess. Either way, it was really interesting stuff, and I've learned a few things. I've actually seen some books that she wrote in, and it's just really interesting stuff. The altars, everything that she would do. She never involved me in anything weird, and I liked it that way. I always kept my distance. If there was something that she was doing, I let her do her thing. She wasn't a Satan worshiper or nothing weird or crazy like that. She just kept to herself, and she would leave me to myself. We would never involve each other's beliefs. We would never try to pressure each other on what we think is right for each other. We would always tell each other about what we believe in, and we'd have discussions on this, but we'd never involve each other to a personal level like that unless we asked for it, and we never did. So with what I'm telling you now is going to pertain to what these 3 blades are right in front of you. And I know I've taken up most of the time right now, close to 10 minutes of just talking rather than touching any of these, and I don't really touch them too much. Although they're safe. They're very, very safe to touch, and they're very, very safe to use and carry. I don't do any of those things. They're just relics to me. Strictly, strictly relics. So I tell you that story to tell you this story. So I'm going to go ahead and put that story off to the side. With that knowledge, I was given this. This was wrapped. These 3 blades were wrapped in animal fur. And the cord that was wrapped was leather, bound with heavy wax. And the wax had a seal on the opening, I guess, on the folds of the animal, on the animal skin. Fur inside, not outside. The fur inside, as it was wrapped with these 3 blades. And I've been told that there's different ways of doing this, different things that people do, especially when it comes to witchcraft. A lot of it is, if you're a white witch, you do good rather than bad. If you are a dark witch or a black witch, then you do awful things. You practice black magic. You practice Satanism and all the other bad stuff with bad energy. This was wrapped in white animal fur. Now, I don't know much. Like I said, I don't know too much about witchcraft. What I do know is what I've been taught by this white witch that I dated for a small amount of time. And before then, I dated somebody who was also practicing Wicca back in high school. So I kind of have a tiny bit of knowledge in these things. Not much, but that's how I like to keep it. And I always tell people that, if that's what you're into, I don't want to have anything to do with it, because I don't believe in that. I don't really believe in it. I respect it at a distance. If that's what you're into, if that's what you believe in, great, good for you. I believe in God. I believe in all that stuff, and I'm protected in my own way. I don't dabble in that kind of stuff. I was very interested in demonology for a time and ghost hunting, but that was probably the closest I ever got to anything weird like this. Anyways, back to the story. These were found wrapped by a buddy of mine, old friend. He ended up finding these. I'm not going to say where, because there's certain things I know he doesn't want me to talk about. These were wrapped, bound, and sealed with a specific kind of, it's a very old seal on the wax, by the way. He brought it home to his house. He unwrapped it, and a lot of good things happened in his life. Very, very odd how it happened. And I'm not very superstitious. Well, I shouldn't say that. He is not very superstitious. He brought them to me knowing that I'm a blade guy. So what he ended up doing was he told me the story about how he found them, where he found them. When he opened it and broke the seal on these 3 blades, he opened it up, and a lot of good things were happening in his life. Someone in his family that was sick was cured. His dad was, just a lot of bad situations turned to good in his life. And he was like, man, this is really, really awesome. So he brought them to me. He brought them to me as kind of like a good omen type thing. He's like, you know what? You could use a little bit of luck in your life. And I've held them ever since. I've kept them ever since. I never used them. I have too much respect. And the only reason why I say to people, like, I don't really touch these. I don't touch them because I have that kind of respect, but I also have a little bit of a fear of the unknown. Because there are stories of people finding the opposite. They would find tools that were used for black magic. And I don't know what it is about wrapping, whether you believe in it. It's wands and sage and all that other stuff. They wrap that stuff up and then they put it somewhere for someone else to find. And when they find it, you are either gifted or you are either cursed. And I've heard about the dark side of things. I've heard about people being cursed when they find the wrong thing. So luckily this guy, this dude who, doesn't know anything, ended up coming across a good one. So, and what I was told by a lady who knew about this stuff, she actually said these 3 knives are used for specific things with whoever used them before. So this knife that you see right here was used for gathering herbs. It's got a curve and the sharpened end is pointed on the inside, so you would gather your herbs rather than pulling them out of the ground. I guess that's disrespectful if you pull it and the roots go with it. Instead, you would respectfully cut them at the base and collect your herbs that way. So that's what this was used for. It was for herb gathering. This was used for some kind of sacrifice. I don't know if it's used for any type of animal sacrifice, but there was no traces of blood found on it, so I'm pretty sure it was used for regular type of whatever sacrifices that were used that were not in any type of violent manner, is what I was told. And this blade is actually meant to be kind of a wand that they would use to cast whatever good energy they would use this for. They would use it kind of like a pointer, or they would use it in a way and fashion that they would use a regular wand to cast good spells. And thus, the handle being twisted like that, it was supposed to resemble the wand blade, I guess. So with that knowledge being brought to me, they were really cool relics because they're very old, they're handmade, and I don't think there's any of these out there that are like this at all. The wood is burnt on all these handles are slightly smoked in a way. I can tell. And they're very, very old. I don't know how old these are. I don't even know what kind of steel this is. I know it's real leather, handmade leather. It's got a little, all 3 of these have a little animal print on there. And it looks like a little fox print from what I know. They're very interesting to me, and I have kept them ever since. But I have nothing but respect for them. So, whoever used them, it's a very, very interesting thing. These are very, very old. I don't know how old they are, but they're very old. One of my buddies said that these could have been used and made between the 60s and 70s, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't know anything about these knives. I've tried looking up the symbol and I can't find anything. So it's very interesting. And it's not Damascus steel. It's kind of like natural pitting, but it's also been used with a type of oil that's been put on there to make the pattern of the blade stand out. And yes, some of these are actually, these 2 are very sharp. This one's a little dulled out, but I think that's because this was made to be used not as a blade, but as, like I said, a wand. So these are very, very interesting. I don't know if these were used by male or female. I'm assuming female, but that's what I was told. The person I was talking to, I went to some kind of like Reiki store. There's one here where I live that's got one of those kind of people in there. She actually kind of helped me out with this. She's like, I would keep those if I were you. Those are really, really good. That's good energy on those things. So it was a little weird to talk to somebody like that, but she knew a little bit more about it than I did. And I thought that was really interesting. So I don't have the fur that it was wrapped in, or the leather, or I don't even know what the wax seal looked like when it was broken. All I know is that my buddy found these and he just kept them ever since. He didn't know what it was. He finds all kinds of weird stuff, what he does and what, where he goes. So when he found these, he was like, man, these are really cool, but they've done me good. I don't have any room for them. So he just gave them to me, knowing that I collect knives, and I've kept them ever since. And they've been part of my collection. I look at them from time to time. I never use them. Like I said, strictly relics. So knowing what I know from them, it just makes them that much cooler. But if you find anything like that, these were also blessed, by the way. I ended up going to long time ago, when the last time I went to a Renaissance fair, I took them to a shaman, an actual shaman, and then I took them to a church to be blessed, just to make sure that there's no bad energy. And I even talked to the person who knew a little bit about this stuff, and she said, yeah, you could do that. It's, I don't see why there wouldn't be any awful, you're not affecting the energy on that stuff, so you should be fine. And I didn't know what she meant by that, but I just kind of went with it. I was like, well, okay, well, if it's not going to do any bad, then, what's it going to hurt? So these are just really cool relics that I have now. I don't know who made them. I don't know how old they are, but they're just really awesome. Anyways, I just thought I'd like to add that to my channel. They're not for sale, unfortunately. I don't know what to do with them yet. But they're really cool nonetheless. So if you guys like this, go ahead and slash that like button, stab that subscribe, slice that bell icon. And I want all of you guys, please have a good day. Please, please, in these craziest of times. Man. It's just so weird. I never showed these to anybody, really. Hardly anybody. So it's just, it's kind of a weird thing to do. Oh my gosh. So anyways, what the heck? What's going on here? Be kind, be safe, carry responsibly, and I will see you all in the next video. I was trying to look up my notes. I had something that I wanted to say about them, something more, but I think I covered everything. So, anyways, yeah.